Big news for 7 Days to Die console fans, but it's not going to be that great, other than maybe yes, you'll get a chance to play the game for free on Xbox Gamespass soon. This got announced a few days ago, a bunch of you guys have been tweeting me, and a lot of you are really unhappy. Normally this is a good thing. When a game goes to Games Pass, I'm all for it, and there's lots of survival games that have given me loads of views because suddenly they've been put on the Games Pass. Problem is though that 7 Days to Die on console is 5 years without an update. 5 years! It's lagging behind PC so much and so hard, and in actual fact in terms of content it's nearly 6 and a bit years behind PC. Now we've covered this multiple times in all sorts of videos in the past, so don't really want to go over that too much. But I will give you a quick rundown just in case you don't know about the drama of 7 Days to Die. But yep, a lot of people are unhappy and questioning whether or not this is going to actually have more content in it. Turns out no. What they're doing is basically selling 7 Days to Die somewhere else other than Steam. They're going to be selling it on the Windows 10 store, and so you will also then be able to obviously play it on your cloud. So yes, you'll be able to play it on maybe your mobile or tablet as long as you've got a good internet connection, and I think it should more or less have the same content as PC. And if you do own a PC and somehow you haven't played 7 Days to Die, well, you can now go ahead and play it for free if you've got Games Pass without needing to buy the Steam version. Some of this has been kind of confirmed via a moderator post in the forums. The console version is not anything new, it hasn't been updated, it's still the one that has literally 5 years of missing content and clearly see. However, now the PC version will be available through their store as well, so Steam won't be the only way to purchase or play the game. Now I'm presuming, as I said, the PC version should have all the latest stuff, but when I think about it now, it does look like maybe they've just simply ported the Xbox version back to PC, or they've made it Windows available. So yeah, players are unhappy. It seems like Fun Pimps, the developers, are getting a bunch of cash because Microsoft paid pretty well for this, and is that really going to be speeding up the process for console development? There is some good points though. A little while ago, and I haven't really covered this in much detail because I was just too busy covering everything else, it was alluded in a stream that possibly the console versions might actually see an update backported. So here's the rundown of why this drama is big news. In 2019, so 3 years ago now, the Fun Pimps eventually got hold of their rights to their own game. Telltale Games, the publishers of the game for Xbox and PlayStation, they'd gone out of business about a year and a half beforehand, and supposedly their rights for the game were up for sale, and Fun Pimps managed to get them back. Good news. However, they stated that they would look at it like they didn't have enough knowledge to do the console ports themselves or to continue updating the game. The best they could maybe hope for is being an entirely new product on the next console. Cue me being pretty angry and a bunch of others. Why am I paying again for another game that hasn't had updates in years just to get the same as PC, especially when I did pay more money for the Xbox and PS4 versions? And that's pretty much how things stayed until we started getting a few bits more news. There was more talk about them possibly porting the game over to a new product, with no talk about any free kind of upgrade paths or kind of discounts for players that maybe owned it, but that still would not happen until the PC version had gone gold and finished. And at the moment, I think that is scheduled for sometime next year. So yeah, this did piss people off, especially when it started becoming apparent that 7 Days to Die is still massively popular. On Xbox and PlayStation, at this point it had 10,000 players currently playing it. That was pretty close to what some of the concurrent player base on PC was at the time, maybe a bit lower. We'd also seen that the Fun Pimps had benefited from the game being sold full price Xbox and PlayStation for about a year and a half. The proceeds, everything had eventually gone to them, but we've still been told that we're going to have to wait years to see any kind of update. Then more drama. They went ahead and resold the game on physical editions elsewhere. You could buy the game across places like Game in the UK and other stores in America. And again, it got people excited, assuming and thinking that this might actually have the updated content. But alas, no. Turns out it was just a re-release, no new content. Not the worst thing in the world, but apparently they had used the description of the Steam game and it obviously mentioned stuff like electricity and more vehicles. And that's what everyone got excited. And it was basically false selling goods. Fun Pimps later clarified and said it was a mistake by their partners and that it would just be the same update and same content that consoles had already received. And then we saw more news apparently that back in January they were hiring new staff and that they'd hopefully be looking to port the game to consoles when the game was finished, as this handy Reddit post summarises some of it. So this was January before last. So this was good news. Hopefully if they've got it all built in with themselves, wouldn't have to wait maybe even longer after the PC version was finished to actually get a chance to play it. And then recently again, unless you watch all the live streams they've done when they're promoting their Alpha 19s and stuff like that have gone out on PC, you may have caught them suggesting that actually, since they're now speaking to actual people that can make games, I kid, I joke, people that can actually port games over, it might be possible to actually port the updates over to Xbox and PlayStation 4. And this is all that anyone has ever wanted. Obviously no console player has faced the prospect of wanting to buy a second version of the game, and why should they when they've had to wait so long for updates? Regardless of whose fault it was, the Fun Pimps have owned the rights to their own game for around 3 and a bit years now. Given that, like I said, the update for the actual PC, the final one, might not go live until next year, it's still probably going to be about 4.5 years that they've owned the game themselves, yet not done enough with it on console. Console does need updates. It's buggy, it's kind of old, it's very broken. The further you get into the game, basically you have more risk of the world being wiped out by a pretty crappy bug. Lots of problems and issues with falling through the world depending on stuff that you use. It's just not in a great state. So it's surprising that Microsoft, who I assume always want a bit of quality with the games they put on Gamespass, have decided to go ahead and actually put it on the Gamespass. But there we go people, don't get too excited. You've seen it on console, it's not the latest version. I haven't got a clue if the PC version on Windows 10 will actually have the latest Steam updates. It is good news that it is signaling they're getting more money, and so hopefully that's going to speed stuff up even more. And if we go, like I said, with a pinch of salt, based on what's been said recently, we could see updates come to Xbox and obviously PlayStation 4, which around, I would estimate, 50% of the player base currently have, as the last stats I looked said it was around only 30% of people had the next gen consoles, and given that we've obviously had various different editions of either PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, Xbox X and Xbox S, chances are some of you haven't had to play it on an absolute potato. But yeah, I would still say it's a conservative effort to say maybe 40 to 50% of you are still playing it on that way. And that's it. We have just wanted some parity with PC. Apparently again, the devs alluded and said that maybe crossplay would be a thing, and that sounds great. If they do that, I'll finally get behind them and I might start covering the game again. So please do not subscribe to me if you want to see daily 7 Days to Die content. I do survival news, I do everything that comes into console. I'm covering Ark, Valheim and Nightingale at the moment in big ways. I've covered pretty much every release going, but I'm not going to be doing regular 7 Days to Die content. I'm boycotting it until we see some actual improvements to the console, and then I'll be all over it, as it was one of my favourite games back in the day. If you're new to the genre of survival, you've been playing maybe Ark and you're looking for another survival game, there is something at its core, even on the old version, that you will find, I would say, good. But I'm sure you'll be able to quickly point out how old and dated the graphics are and how some of the UI and the inventory systems just don't really work that well. 26th April, let me know if you're going to be picking it up for the first time. If we do get any news about what comes to console, I will let you guys know. But yeah, please don't subscribe, expecting 7 Days to Die content on a regular basis. Until then, I'll catch you a lot later.